She's like, I am not like the other white women from Brooklyn, like all dancing like their hands in the air and so on. It annoyed me to no end. I was this close to just throwing everything away. Hello beautiful people, good morning and welcome back to my channel Indian Cooks and Books. I am DJ and there are some new beautiful people joining us. Thanks to Sean the Book Maniacs videos. Welcome and thank you so much for joining. And today we are going to talk about the books that I read in the month of June. I'm eating some cake, drinking some tea. You also do something like that, maybe grab a drink and let's go. I was just showing you guys that I have made this chocolate cake. It's fine, I could have done a better job. But it's vegan, it's chocolate, it's yummy. So good. So the first book I read was The Hole by Hye-young. It's a Korean book translated into English. In it, it's a story of this protagonist called Ogi. And Ogi has been in a car accident and Ogi loses his wife and he has full body paralysis and he cannot do anything but blink his eyes to communicate yes or no, and he's stuck and he doesn't have any other living family other than his mother-in-law, his wife's mother, and the mother-in-law also doesn't have any other living family. So after he stays some time in hospital, he's released in care of his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law moves in with him and she starts digging big holes in his garden, and it's supposed to be some sort of metaphor. And he's left in his room, he's neglected, he's abused, and he cannot do anything. He's very claustrophobic. I got kind of scared. It was psychological horror and it's not my genre, but it's interesting how he's reflecting back on his life. His mother-in-law is getting very nasty and she's shown to be half Korean, half Japanese, and there seems to be some significance behind that she is shown like as a foreign kind of figure, and she keeps mumbling this thing called tasukete kudasai, which means please save me, when she's the one who has to save Ogi, but she isn't apparently. It's interesting, but I didn't enjoy the book like thoroughly. There seems to be a little bit something lost in translation, so I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. Moving on to the next book I read after The Hole, I read Two Trees Make a Forest, written by Jessica J. Lee. She is a Canadian Taiwanese author. She was born in Canada, but her mother was born in Taiwan. And it's a nature memoir kind of writing and it's very soothing. I listened to it on audio and I enjoyed it. It was very slow and she was describing different biological, like botanical things. She was hiking a lot, places like mountains and stuff. And she was describing different plants and flowers and it was very nice. And she was at the same time describing her family's history, how her grandparents came from mainland China and they still felt the longing for it even though they were settled in Canada. Her grandfather was a pilot and he also liked to cook, and she described some really nice scenes where he is thinking about his mother who has taught him to cook and he's making dumplings and it's really nice and heartwarming. And she's talking about eating stinky tofu. Her mother's memories of Taiwan have those when she was younger and she would go to get some stinky tofu. Apparently I really want to try what that is. When she goes to Taiwan, she is discovering her roots and the language, and it's interesting, very interesting. I enjoyed listening to it and it was very soothing. By the way, my hair situation, I might have buzz cut it because there are travel restrictions and in my work hours the shops are open and after my work hours the shops are closed. I can't go to the barbers and I don't want to go to the barbers, and maybe I was having some kind of crisis but I'm okay with it. It's summer and it will grow back. Okay, let's go to the next book. I participated in Translate-a-thon by the book Finch and I was supposed to read 3 books. 2 of them were supposed to be rereads, The Little Prince and Kitchen by Yoshimoto Banana, but I didn't end up getting there, and I feel very guilty. But what I did read was amazing. I will get to that a little bit later. The next book I read was, oh, I don't know what to say about this. This was Fake Accounts by Lauren Euler. It was like watching those memes where they are making fun of white girls, like white girl dance is so liberating, and they are like all dancing like their hands in the air, and they're like closing their eyes. It's like a 7-hour compilation of those memes. It's just too much. I was so annoyed by this. So let's get to the premise of this book. Boy, did it seem interesting when I heard the synopsis that this woman finds out that her boyfriend is a conspiracy theorist online, and he has an Instagram account where he posts some troll stuff, some right-wing conspiracies, and I was so interested in this like plot where I thought that she might find out and then she might catch him red-handed, or some clashing, or some ridiculous theories that he's spreading or something. I was expecting that, but none of that happens in the book. I'm sorry. It's not a big spoiler, but it's weird, this book, man. Like, it's told from this millennial white woman's perspective. She's like, I am not like the other white women from Brooklyn. She's like, the author is in on the joke, but it's not a very good joke, guys. I didn't like it, and it was so drawn out. And there is this section about fake dating, and she goes on many fake dates with fake personas, and it was okay in the beginning, but then she starts behaving like each astrological sign, a zodiac sign, after some point as a fake persona, and it was so annoying. It annoyed me to no end. I was this close to just throwing everything away. It was extremely online, and no, not for me. It was 2 or 2.5 stars if I was feeling generous. Okay, I read this one also in the middle of the month, or maybe in the starting of the month, and it was interesting to say the least. It was very scary. It was horrifying at points. Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, and I made a video. I will link it somewhere, and I go into detail in that video. But for now, I will say that this story is about this girl called Natsuki, who is 11 years old, and she is going through a rough time. Her family is not very good to her, and she is creating these stories about aliens and magicians, and trying to make sense of why she is suffering so much, and some horrible things happen in her life, and then she just spirals, and it's crazy. It's a fever dream. So please check out my video if you are interested in listening to me blabber more about this one. And then the last one, but not the least, I read Transcendent X by Kawakami Mieko, and I enjoyed this book so much. I finished it on the last day of the month, and I took my time with it. I think I was reading this for 2 whole weeks, and it's so interesting. It's a very feminist novel, and another Japanese translation, and I must say that I'm really looking forward to pick up more Japanese female authors, because man, these were great, and they are not douchey. Some of the other male writers' books might have been a tiny bit douchey. Even if they were nice in other ways, there were a little bit of that dude bro thing going on. This one was really nice. It's a story of this woman called Natsuko, and she, in the first part, is in her late 20s, and she is in Tokyo, but she's from Osaka, which is on the west side, and Tokyo is on the east of Japan, and there is a difference of culture in those two places that is a recurring theme in this, where Osaka people are a little more laid back, supposedly, and Tokyo people are a little more sophisticated, apparently. I don't know, maybe a little cold, I've heard. Natsuko is trying to be a writer, and she's struggling, and one day her niece and her older sister, who practically raised her, they have been in poverty throughout their lives. They worked as hostesses. It's a big part of Japanese nightlife culture, where women just keep company to sleazy men. It's not the most nice thing, and that's how they make their living. They used to, but Natsuko didn't. She was the youngest, and she just worked as a dishwasher in the bar, where her mother and her older sister used to work as hostesses. And she had seen a lot of poverty, and she describes it in detail. Natsuko's elder sister, wants a breast augmentation surgery and to look nicer and maybe get more successful in her work. Her niece, who is 13 or 14, is newly learning about sex and how reproduction works, and she is baffled by like all the talk about sex and breasts and eggs, and she is very angry with her mother because she's so obsessed with her breast augmentation surgery. She's doing a lot of research and she's finding a lot of brochures, pamphlets, and she is just like focusing it on it too much, and she starts being selectively mute with her mother. She is fine with people in her school, she talks with them, but with her mother she just stops talking. And that's the first part is the story when they both visit from Osaka to Tokyo at Natsuko's, and how things come to head at the end of the first part. But the second part is very, very long. 2/3 of the rest is the second part, where Natsuko is 10 years older after a decade. She is thinking about having a baby, but she doesn't have a partner to have babies with. And in Japan, fertility treatments, single women are not eligible for it. You have to have a partner to try to get fertility treatment, which is also very unfair. There's so many things about how Japanese women are treated unfairly in this book, and stories of different people. There are lots of single mothers in this one, not many men, but lots of different types of women and all their experiences about money, children, violence, abuse, sleaziness of men around them in general. It's very interesting, and it was very nice to experience things very intimately with this author, and I'm definitely interested in her next book, that is Heaven. I don't know if I'll pick it up soon or later, maybe later, because I have so many other things to pick up. So that's it about the books that I read. I gave this 4.5 stars. I like this a lot. With that, I will leave you. Sorry, I forgot to promote myself. Please add me on Instagram if you feel like following me there. I just post silly stuff there. I also started using Twitter recently, and I think the link is somewhere, so if you want to follow. And on YouTube, subscribe and comment, and let's talk. Bye bye until next week, and take care.